Chapter 1. Prologue. You are listening at FameTV.info. In a valley far away from civilization, an old man is seen walking towards what seemed to be a cave. The old man didn't know why he was here or why was he attracted to this place. The only thing he knew was that his life was fading away and the comfort in death lied inside the cave. Once he entered, what greeted him was a long and a bit narrow passage. The cave was dark, so the old man couldn't see the geoglyphs surrounding its walls. He just kept walking and walking for who knows how long. Seconds felt like minutes, minutes felt like hours, and hours felt like days. He just walked quietly as his life was slipping away. Eventually, he walked into a big room. The room was at least 50 meters big and looked to be in ruins wherever he cast his gaze upon. As the old man looked around, he noticed a majestic throne at the very back of the room. Looking at it, the old man couldn't help but praise the one who made such a piece of art. It was endowed with the finest jewel, and by the golden color, the man suspected it was made of gold. Not that it mattered anyway. After all, what use has a dying man for gold? The old man went silent for a second as if to contemplate what to do. After hesitating for a moment, he advanced until he was right in front of it. For some reason, the man felt nostalgic gazing upon it, as if he and the throne were meant for each other. Without much suspense, he rested his tired and almost lifeless body on it. Once he sat, the geoglyphs in the room lit in blue light, as if to welcome the arrival of the rightful owner of this tomb. Looking up, the man muttered, "Death sure does its wonders, huh? This seems so mythical. On a normal day I will question my sanity seeing all this, but for some reason, it all just screams norm. No, right will be the word." The man couldn't help but release a weak chuckle. It seemed that once he sat on the throne, the energy he didn't know he had to reach this place, even if his life should have already ended, has mysteriously disappeared. As his eyes were closing for eternity, he couldn't help but smile. For some reason, death didn't seem that much scary to him. On the contrary, it felt like some sort of liberation. A liberation he felt he wanted but couldn't get. He didn't know why was he thinking about all this nonsense. This last few days had surely been weird. He thought as his life completely left him to rest in this forgotten place. After what felt like an eternity, the old.no, he wasn't old anymore. What appeared was a young man, dark hair, short on the sides and long in the middle, which fell on both sides of his b.a.r.ec.h.s. Red eyes with strange black markings under them, the same markings that cover his arms and side of his torso, pointy ears like those of an elf, his gaze void of emotions. Around his neck, he wears some kind of fancy golden necklace, and on his forehead, a black ruby dot-like thing seems to lie dormant. He has black arm pads on both sides and a black pants covered by a black robe. A/N. I suck at descriptions, I know. He looks like full body Jin equip Hakuryu-ren for those wondering XD. The now young man set his gaze forward. He was standing in a calm ocean. By the little light around you could know that it was night. Looking upwards revealed a sea of stars, shooting stars passing occasionally. Whoever looks at this scene, only one word will come out of their mouth, and that is, beautiful. However, the young man didn't have any reaction. He just set his gaze forward to meet a man, no, a creature who was calmly sitting there looking at him. The creature looked like a man, but his head was akin to a dog or wolf perhaps. He had tan skin while his animal head was completely black. He didn't wear anything fancy. Same as the young man, he was bare. C.H.E.S.Ted, and the only garment he was wearing was a simple white tunic that only covered the bottom half of his body. The creature was holding an ankh, and it didn't seem he was going to let go of it by how tight he was holding onto it. "You have come again, huh? You sure took your time for someone like you," the creature said. Even though his words seemed cold and without any particular meaning, you could feel the happiness his voice contained along with guilt. The young man just looked at him with the same emotionless expression. The creature sighed, seeing this. Of course he understands. Knowing what he went through is enough to feel that the young man has his reasons to be so void of emotions. After looking at the creature for a second, the young man started walking towards it.no, towards the giant door that was behind it. The door was simple, just a metal door with geoglyphs all around it, but unlike normal doors, this one seemed to open from the middle, separating it into two. Once he was in front of it, he waited, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute. Seeing the door not opening, the young man showed a reaction, and that was to frown. He looked at the creature and for the first time spoke. "What are you doing? Open the door, I don't have all the time in the world, unlike you." The young man said, but his voice lacked any emotion but irritation. "This time is different, you won't be reincarnating to get punished again," said the creature while showing a little happiness, like this was something for him to celebrate instead of the young man. "What do you mean?" The man narrowed his eyes, for who knows how many millennia he kept reincarnating and living a miserable life due to him rebelling against his fate. Something the higher gods didn't take too kindly. "This is a chance for you. Lord Ra has given you a chance to be free. He thinks that your punishment has been enough already, and once you complete a task he has given you, you could finally return to the sides of the gods, Fa." The creature extended his hands to the side, happily telling the young man, but was interrupted by loud yell directed at him. "Don't call me father, Anubis. You are not my son. Every time I look at you I'm reminded of how I was cucked by my own brother. Do you have any idea how sick and disgusting I feel remembering you are the offspring of that S.L.U.T and that retard?" The young man screamed in an angry outburst, completely out of his cold character. Just listening to that word made him break his cold expression to transform it into an angry one. "I'm sorry, Uncle Seth." The creature, now Anubis, said, flinching a little at his father. He was allowed to call him that in his mind, yelling. After calming a bit from his outburst he sighed and went back to his expressionless face. Continued. "What does that old bird want?" "Yes. Apparently, in a parallel world to ours, humanity is facing destruction and he wants you to save them," Anubis concluded, exhaling the breath he didn't know he was holding. The eyes of Seth twitched hearing this. Is this a joke? Was this a new kind of punishment? In what world does that old bird care about humanity? He never cared, never does, and never will. That's a fact. Second, while I'm aware parallel worlds exist, what does it matter to him? We only need to care for our world, not for others. Besides, I'm sure humanity will not go extinct. Why, you ask? Because the gods will intervene, not all of them of course, and not for selfish reasons, that's a given. It will have to be a rare case where gods can't freely intervene with humanity for it to be a problem worth mentioning, but I don't think that's the case. Third and finally, I'm sure the part of setting me free is pure bullshit. He was the first to cast punishment on me when I rebelled. I bet the moment I save humanity he will cast my soul to do it, or use the sun he governs to burn my soul. A/N. While Seth is cold, or better said, expressionless on the outside, he can be quite the chatterbox in his mind. Seth stopped this train of thought and looked at the brat. He was always so displeasing to the eyes. "Speak, what do I need to know before I go there?" It wouldn't hurt to go there and see if he could help. Although he would never admit it, he cares about humanity, but above all, he envies them. After all, they have the free will to do whatever they want, something a god like him lacks. He has, or had, a role, and he needs, or needed, to fulfill, a role that was imposed onto him, even if he didn't want it. The expression of Anubis brightened like the sun. "Yes. Lord Ra told me to inform you all the things related to that world so you could be prepared for whatever happened," Anubis said while displaying a childlike expression. "And let me tell you, it didn't look cute. Disgusting. So disgusting. I don't know if it is the fact that roasted chicken is worried about me or the happiness of this thing." After that, Anubis told Seth all he needed to know about Gaia, Alea, the throne of heroes, something that for once he found interesting, the decline of mysteries with the end of the age of the gods. This explained the fact why humanity couldn't be helped by their gods, about magi and many more. Oh, and one more thing, there is this Organi. Anubis added before he was cut again by Seth, "Forget it, I don't need that much information. I will just go, solve the problem and come to die here or something," Seth said while waving his hand dismissively. Anubis sighed and finally opened the door behind him. What was revealed was some kind of portal that had blue lines going to the center of the door, like some kind of interdimensional travel. Seth waited for it to open before entering it. As he was being U.C.K.E.D into the portal, he heard a "good luck," but he didn't pay it any mind. Once he was gone, Anubis muttered to himself. Should I've told him he was not going there with his god body and with most of his abilities sealed, otherwise that world wouldn't allow his entrance. If Seth had heard him, he would surely punch him until not only his head was black. On the side of Seth, when he opened his eyes, all he could see was red, flames going wild everywhere, rubbles filled the places. This looked like the hell of that old man Yahweh. It took a little to get used to the sight. While it's true he was forced to be the god of evil, he certainly didn't expect to see this sight, but what bewildered him even more was the lack of life all around him. When he tried to spread his senses to get a more ample read of life signatures, he discovered he could sense nothing beyond a 1,000-meter radius. He frowned. Oh boy, he didn't like where this was going. He looked at his hand, they were normal hand. He looked at his feet, they were normal feet. He sighed, his face the epitome of defeat. How am I supposed to save humanity if I'm a human? Seth said with his stoic face having traces of hidden grievances. Well, at least this body doesn't seem that human either, he mused. Further inspecting his new body, he discovered that there was a seal making his god body into a human one. It would take a while, but if he could break it little by little, he would be able to regain his body and abilities, which were apparently sealed at the moment. Seth proceeded to look at his right hand. He concentrated and called its name, the name of the loyal weapon that battled with him in every battle he did. Even though it was a weapon of evil, he trusted it with his life. Come forth, O weapon of evil, O weapon of destruction. Let's sink this world in despair and make even the gods tremble. Email protected, email protected, %. After he finished his chant, a simple spear appeared in his hand. The only notable quality would be the crescent blade at the top end, making it look like a halberd instead. Seth frowned. It seemed that not only he was the one nerfed, his weapon too. But there was another reason for his frown. When he called the name of his spear, even him, all he could hear were screeches. The world is rejecting you too. Great, just great. This will be more troublesome than I thought. Seth sighed but then flashed a rare smile. Let's put the world upside again, partner. As if to agree with his words, the spear gave a little hum. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.